In Australia, the regulator of medicinal products is the Therapeutic Goods Administration, TGA, a division of the Department of Health. The TGA has created a computer database called the Australian Register of Therapeutic Goods, ARTG, on which products regulated by the TGA must be entered in order to be lawfully supplied in Australia. The database contains details of therapeutic goods approved for supply in Australia. Therapeutic goods are products which are or are likely to be taken to be, for example, in the way they are presented, for therapeutic use. Therapeutic use means in or in connection with a. Preventing, diagnosing, curing or alleviating a disease, ailment, defect or injury in persons, or b. Influencing, inhibiting or modifying a physiological process in persons, or c. Testing the susceptibility of persons to a disease or ailment, or d. Influencing, controlling or preventing conception in persons, or e. Testing for pregnancy in persons, or f. The replacement or modification of parts of the anatomy in persons. There are three main categories of therapeutic goods, medicines, medical devices, and biologicals, which are products derived from human cells or human tissues. Each category of therapeutic good has its own regulatory framework. In vitro diagnostic devices, IVDs, are regulated as a subset of medical devices. Information held on the ARTG includes product name and intended use, sponsor, company, and manufacturer details. A summary of the information can be viewed publicly on the Internet. The sponsor and their authorized agents have access to the full details. The ARTG inclusion is owned by the sponsor, who must be an Australian, individual or company. There are some exemptions from ARTG entry, which will be discussed later in this course. As defined in the Therapeutic Goods Act, a sponsor is a person who exports or arranges the exportation of the goods from Australia, or a person who imports or arranges the importation of the goods into Australia, or a person who, in Australia, manufactures the goods or arranges for another person to manufacture the goods for supply, whether in Australia or elsewhere. But this does not include a person who exports, imports, or manufactures the goods, or arranges the exportation, importation, or manufacture of the goods on behalf of another person who, at the time of exportation, importation, manufacture, or arrangements, is a resident of or is carrying on business in Australia. So the sponsor may be an Australian manufacturer but cannot be an overseas entity. The manufacturer of a medical device is the entity who takes responsibility for the design, production, packaging and labeling of the device before it is supplied under the manufacturer's name. With a view to supplying the device under his name, the manufacturer does one or more of the following to the device: assembling, packaging, processing, fully refurbishing, labeling, assigning its purpose by means of information supplied by the person on the labeling on the device, on the instructions for using it, in any advertising material relating to the device, or in the technical documentation describing the mechanism of its action.